Thank you. All right, well, welcome everybody. And today we're going to be talking to you about the beautiful remote Baja in California, Mexico. I am joined today with myself, Vanessa from Down Under in Africa Endeavors, along with Sonya and Bryan. And most of you, I think, are clients of Down Under Endeavors and Africa Endeavors. But for those of you who aren't, just a little brief recap of who we are and what we do. So we handcraft dream vacations to exotic, rejuvenating, and exciting places on Earth. We're not your typical travel agency, and we don't really deal with your typical travelers. Most of our travelers are going to be adventurous, curious, and passionate. Most of our travelers seek authentic experiences on the roads less traveled. And we are experts and specialize in luxury travel throughout most of the world, and typically in places that you won't find on the internet. So today, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about experiential travel in Baja California, Mexico. We're going to give an overview of travel to Mexico. At the end, we'll have questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat window, and we'll answer them throughout the presentation, but then also at the end. And then we'll chat to you about next steps. So take it away, Sonya and Bryan.
Well, thank you so much, Vanessa. Sonya and I are so excited to be here and be able to speak with you and so many of your guests and talk about the beauty of Baja California Sur here in Mexico. Baja is known in Mexico as the last frontier. And it's called that because not only was it the last area to become a state, but it is also the area with the longest coastline, the least population, and the greatest biodiversity. So it's really kind of a remarkable place. And I think, Sonya, are we starting off with a video today?
We are, yep. Just to give a quick overview of two of the camps, or well, one of the camps, and also Los Colibris, where Bryan is sitting right now. I just had the pleasure of spending 6 weeks relocated down in the town of Todos Santos, where Bryan is located. And well, it was fun to put this together because it allowed me to pretend I was still there and not in the Vermont winter that I'm sitting in right now. So yeah, let's check out the video. Oh, you're muted, Bryan.
As Sonya mentioned, today I'm sitting in Todos Santos, which is in Baja California Sur, Mexico. And to just kind of orient you a little bit, you see on the upper left part of your screen, there's San Diego, California. And so if you get in your car and drive about 1,000 miles, you will get to Todos Santos. So we're about 50 miles north of Cabo on the Pacific side. And the video that you just saw, and you can see in my screensaver here, we're on a hill overlooking 70 miles of pristine undeveloped beach on the Pacific Ocean. And some of the biodiversity that you just saw, one of the reasons that the waters and the land and the air around Baja California is so rich with wildlife is that we have the Sea of Cortez, which only separated and became the Sea of Cortez about 6.3 million years ago. And geologically speaking, it pretty much just happened. So it's a very super rich environment. And I think today we're really going to talk to you about 3 main areas. We're going to talk about our 2 luxury tent camps, one in Isla Espirito Santo and one in the Sierra Laguna Mountains. We're also going to throw in Magdalena Bay, which is where the whales are, and we're going to talk about Todos Santos. So if you're coming in from the United States, most people will fly into the airport in San Jose del Cabo. Todos Santos is about 90 miles from there, and then La Paz is another 90 miles from Todos Santos. And we'll go right out first to Isla Espirito Santo. And this is it. It's a deserted desert island. There are no permanent structures of any sort. We put up our camp at the beginning of each season and we take it down in its entirety. If it's COVID times, we may have to take it down twice, but normally we take it down once a season. And this is what it's like from looking from behind our camp out into the Sea of Cortez. And Sonya, you can attest to this. I mean, really, the island and the Sea of Cortez really do all the heavy lifting. It is just spectacularly beautiful out there. Sonya, first time you went out there with your family and coming?
Yes, no question. It's like something out of a movie as you come out on the boat. It's pretty absolutely spectacular. Mine really awe-inspiring.
And so really being out there, and we do make people comfortable when they come out. We don't rely on the island to do everything. 8 tents out there, and each tent can have 1 king bed or 2 twin beds, and we also have cots. There's a lot of flexibility in how you can do your glamping. And this is what it's like on the inside. You see there's real beds, real linens, there's fans, there's chairs, there's towels for beach and bath, and there's sunsets, and the ocean is right there. It's not near there, it's right there. Go to the next one. And Sonya knows this, we must have 1,000 or more photos of people's feet from their beds at Camp Cecil. Because when people are sitting there, the idea of having your bed on the beach is just so romantic and so dreamy, and just be able to like essentially wake up in the morning and wander out and be in these clear crystal waters of the Sea of Cortez is really an exciting thing. And go into the next one. And so what is it to do at the island? So we were just out, Sonya was just here with her husband and her son Cam, and we went swimming with the sea lions. I mean, Sonya, maybe you can tell a little bit about what that's like.
Yeah, well, it's pretty spectacular. I mean, I'm sure as Down Under Africa Endeavors clients, you know all about fantastic ocean experiences, but this is really tops. It's there's a small sea lion colony at its own little Las Islotes island at the end of the Isla Espirito Santo. So being out at Camp Cecil on the island really is a huge benefit because you're the first boat out to the sea lions in the morning. This is especially exciting during the season when all the puppies are there and there's a lot of activity because they're not exhausted. They're all ready to play and entertain you for as long as you'd like to stay in the water. It happened to be a little chilly this time around, but depending on the time of year, it can be very warm. But the wetsuits are provided, and we follow all very strict guidelines when swimming with the sea lions. But that doesn't stop them from coming up and taking complete advantage of you. And also the snorkeling is really beautiful. At the same time, the colorful fish against the rock is very nice.
Yeah, and the sea lion puppies, there's no way that a human can ever keep up with the energy of a sea lion puppy. So as
No.
the sea lions will match you dive for dive, twirl for twirl. It's fun. And as Sonya mentioned, there's incredible sea life there. Jacques Cousteau, of course, famously called the Sea of Cortez, you know, the aquarium of the world. And you can really see that on display when you're snorkeling at Los Islotes.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, there we go. I just say that the snorkeling is great for the humans. You know, the humans look out and they're looking out like, oh, look at all these beautiful, amazing fish. And of course, the sea lions are looking out and going, dinner. But this is why this one of the reasons that the sea lion colony, in particular, of all the sea lion colonies in the Sea of Cortez, this one at Los Islotes is one of the most successful because there's just so much marine life in this. They don't have to go that far to hunt, and they can be successful and stay right there and not use a lot of, and they can use their extra energy to play with us. Now, this slide, I love this because not everyone knows that we have blue-footed boobies here in Baja California Sur. People think you have to travel all the way to the Galapagos just to get your blue-footed booby fix, but you don't. And in fact, here in the Sea of Cortez, we have the world's largest blue-footed booby colony. And there are two smaller colonies right near us where we are at Camp Cecil. One is actually the sea lion colony at Los Islotes, and another is called La Gaviota. And then also right on the island, just 2 bays down from Camp Cecil, there is a magnificent frigate bird rookery. And they're on the mangroves there. And you see these males, you know, with their red gorgets, and they see the babies. It's a lot of pretty exciting action there. So if you're a birder, you will certainly not be disappointed being on Camp Cecil out there. Next one. Of course, we have the Sea of Cortez is world-class, world-famous sea kayaking. And this is one of the experiences that we offer at Camp Cecil. And then we also offer, if you're a more adventurous person and you really want to sea kayaking as your main focus, we also offer sea kayaking trips around the islands, camping from beach to beach, which is also really super fun. And of course, we have stand-up paddleboarding at the camp. And I think, Sonya, I think this happened to you, this would happen to you. Do you want to talk about the turtles out in front of the camp? It's really pretty amazing.
Yeah, so there are plenty of kayaks and paddle boards to grab and just play right off the beach at camp during downtime or as a more scheduled activity. But so I was out there paddle boarding, thought, oh, I'll get some exercise. And the sea turtles there, because of this seaweed, or right, Bryan? That they love, they're everywhere. So all of a sudden it's like, well, just drop your paddle and sit down because the show is right beneath you. It's the most beautiful thing to just sit there and be with them. And Bryan gives a great expression of the sounds they make when they come up for air.
So when they go down, they'll be swimming around you, then they flip the little backsides up and they go down and they munch, and then they come up. And it sounds like a person gasping for the air. They go, ah! And they're wondering who is drowning. It's just the sea turtles. So it's really pretty remarkable. And this is part of the thing about being out at the camp in such a remote area is if you're just there, you can have all these amazing interactions with the creatures that are there, and they're just relaxed. It's a marine park. They're not threatened, you know, so they will just be relaxed and do their things, either around you or with you. The sea turtles, of course, are not social like the sea lions, but they're pretty fun. Mm-hmm. Now, swimming with the whale sharks. As I'm sure everyone here knows, the whale sharks are the largest fish in the world, meaning they are a whale of a shark. And every year from like late October until the end of April, they come to the Bay of La Paz and they feed there. And you can snorkel with them. And it's really pretty amazing. The water's always super murky because they're drawn there by the plankton that's there. But it's just amazing to get in the water next to this 4.5-foot mouth and just see all the water that's just got working through the gills as they're taking in all the plankton and expressing out the water through their gills. It's really an incredible experience. And it's and you really feel how insignificant you are. And as in so many places in nature, because they just don't care that you're there. They just sit there doing their feeding. And they just really, you know, where the sea lions are super interactive, they have expressions, and you can tell that they're really, you know, engaging. You know, like, I'm a mammal, you're a mammal. The whale sharks just kind of give you the fish eye. You know, they just sit there, but you can swim around them. It's a pretty incredible experience.
I would add that that it is just swimming with your snorkel and fins. There's no diving equipment necessary to have this experience in this particular area.
And of course, part of the joy of being out in any remote location is having drinks at sunset and then enjoying really just no light pollution in the sky and getting those big skies. So in the upper right there, that's the dining slash living area at Camp Cecil on the island. And this is the camp at night with the Milky Way.
There's bioluminescence in the water there, and amazing shooting stars if you happen to be there during a meteor shower. It's pretty spectacular. Yeah.
So people often ask us about the food and how they know what's going to be served when they're there. And the answer a lot of the times for dinner is whatever the Pupo brothers bring. And these are the Pupo brothers. They are 81 and 91 years old. They have been fishing in the Sea of Cortez since they were 10 years old, and they still fish every day when the weather is fair. And so every day or every other day, depending on what's going on, they bring their fresh catch to Camp Cecil. That's often either the appetizer or the main course. I mean, go on to the next slide. And this is our chef team, and they're there looking very cocky because they have in fact earned themselves a reputation as one of the best restaurants in the vicinity of La Paz, which is really amazing because they do it all in a 10 by 10 tent on a 3-burner stove. I mean, it's not, to me, it seems completely miraculous. Sonya actually knows how to cook, so maybe she has some clues in this. But I will say that what they produce on the island is just wonderful, so flavorful and beautiful, and they care so much and take such great pride in their work. Down to the desserts. And now we're gonna leave the Sea of Cortez, and we're gonna go into the Sierra La Laguna mountains, which is, you can see it's down that sort of the green spine there. And a lot of people don't even realize that Baja has mountains, let alone that really the main culture, aside from fishing culture in Baja, is ranchero culture. And we can go to the next slide. And we'll start the video.
Camp Cecil de la Sierra, a place where time slows down and loops to the past, where tasty dishes are prepared from locally grown produce. Atop traditional wood-fired stoves, local flavors come alive. It's a place where camping doesn't mean roughing it, where sleeping in a tent includes the comforts of home. It's a place where you can stretch your legs and your mind, where trails wind through forested mountains and lead to broad vistas. Amidst these seldom traveled landscapes, rare species are easily found. It's a place where one can experience Baja's traditional ranchero culture, where everyone is welcome, and sharing experiences is a way of life. It's a place where days close around a campfire under desert stars. It's a place that offers a look back in time and connection to another way of life. Camp Cecil de la Sierra. It feels like coming home.
So this is Sonya with Chito, and Camp Cecil de la Sierra is on the property of Chito. This property's been in his family for many generations now. And part of the fun of being out there is really learning about the ranchero way of life and being able to participate in it. Sonya and Cam and your husband, sorry.
Alex.
It just made their leather bracelets with Chito. I don't know if you want to talk about doing the workshops with Chito and his mother a little bit.
You know, what I found, we had the pleasure of going out twice during our recent stay in Baja, and it was great. It was great to go and experience it both times, because it really impressed on me that how different it can be each time you go. There are going to be some constants, like the incredible food and the comfy bed, which we'll talk about in a minute. But otherwise, it's sort of as life goes on there, and depending on what Chito's up to and what's going on at the ranch, you can become involved in several different things. And it was particularly great to watch Bryan show Chito the short video we just played. He was so proud, and this being on his land and as a project together, you can tell he's just really happy about it, and goes out of his way to get to know the visitors that are there.
And then this is what some of the tents look like. As on the island, each tent can have one king bed or 2 twin beds, but very different from the island is actually in an orchard on Chito's property. So there's mango, grapefruit, and avocado trees, which you can see in the lower right picture there.
Bryan has 5 dogs and 3 cats. And I would say that was probably Zorro, Suri, and maybe Penguica. They must still be.
Obviously, there's some excitement in the street. But one of the beautiful things that we have at Camp Cecil de la Sierra is that we have a local carpenter that we worked with who made all the tables and chairs and the headboards and the side tables. So there's really a lot of sort of beautiful culture just in the surroundings around there. We can go to the next slide. And Chito built us a traditional ranchero kitchen with a wood burning stove. So whereas on the island, the kitchen's kind of in the back, and it's kind of like this little miracle that the food comes out and everything. At the Sierra camp, the kitchen is really the center of the activity there. And everyone's really sort of invited into it. And Sonya, I don't know if you want to talk about your empanada prowess that you learned with Delia while you were there.
Yes, I can't say that I've duplicated it yet. I've tried, but got to make with Delia on the right here some pretty delicious empanadas as our part of our meal one evening, and it was really fun to be part of the kitchen. The kitchen really is the hub of the camp. There's constant chatter going on there. I wish my Spanish was better, because I just wanted to know everything they were talking. It was like the gossip center.
By the end of our second weekend, we were in fact so proud of ourselves. We were in fact part of the kitchen chat. We were.
Yeah, we were.
Our way in, so that was good. I think we can go on to the next slide here. And here, the emphasis on the food and the ranch is obviously really on typical ranchero foods. So it's quite different from the island camp, where really obviously is emphasis more on the seafood and stuff like that. But I'll also say that when the last time that Sonya and I went, there were 2 vegans on the trip, and the vegan food was just insanely delicious. I mean, it was really amazing what they made. And this is a traditional lunch at the Sierra camp.
Yes, you don't go hungry.
No one has ever complained they didn't get enough to eat or drink.
Yeah.
And I have a quick question for you ladies. What is the minimum age for children, or is there a minimum age for children at any of the camps?
On the island, there's no minimum age. And in fact, it's a great place to bring young children. There's no place for them to go. They're right there. It's easy. And the guides are there. So it's a great place for young children. For the Sierra camp, we don't recommend bringing children unless they like to walk or hike. So normally we say the age is 8, but some people from mountainous states say that their children have been hiking since they were 5, and that's fine as long as the parents understand that walking is really going to be one of the main activities, and the child is up for it. But there are also, I mean, we started the last weekend that Sonya and I were there. We went up with some artists from Todos Santos, from Todos Artes, and we did a watercolor workshop. Well, I'll say Sonya did a watercolor workshop, and I watched.
I did too.
And, but really enjoyed it. So we will be offering more of these sort of cultural activities for people at the Sierras, so people can walk out closer to the camp. They don't have to do the big hikes, and get their inspiration from nature for their watercolors, and then come back into the camp. But for children, they really need to be do the activities in the Sierras. On the island, they can hang out.
Nice.
And this is Chito's mother, Angela, on the right, and she teaches some of the workshops on cheese making and making sweets and empanadas, and one of our happy students there on the left. Go on. And this is Delia doing her tortilla making classes. Sonya actually bought a tortilla press and took it home. So I think Sonya definitely got inspired and making.
I did. And the basket.
I mean, there's really nothing like homemade tortillas. And of course, as I mentioned, one of the main things is hiking. And you can see all the way to the Pacific Ocean from our perches up there. And keep going. And now, so we're going to leave the mountains and we're going to go up. We're going to drive about 4.5 hours north of Todos Santos to Magdalena Bay. And you can see on the map there that the bays are made by these barrier islands that are out there. And the gray whales migrate 6,000 miles down from Alaska each year to mate and give birth in these lagoons. It's like gray whale winter holiday. And we're going to show you some of the experiences that you can have there. We can go to the next slide. This is some of what happens to you when you're in Magdalena Bay. The gray whales are 40 tons of mammal, and they will often come right up to you in the boat to just interact with you. So again, when I talk about being in Baja and these times, you can go into the next slide, these ability to really interact with species in a different, in their natural habitat and in just such an intimate way. It's just thrilling. I mean, we were just with Sonya and Cam and Alex, and I don't know, do you want to talk about the babies and the aunties and everybody that we saw? It was just so exciting.
So I've worked with Bryan for, what is it, 10 years, Bryan? A long time, and a lovely long time. And I have known about and sold this experience for years. And finally, this past few weeks ago, we were able to get out and experience it for the first time, and it completely blew my mind. The gray whales, I don't know, to me, I had no idea how in love with them I would be. And it is at once so mind-blowing, all your senses tingling, and at the same time so incredibly deep. I don't know, it's an amazing experience. I hope not to call it once in a lifetime, because I really hope I'll be able to try to do it again. But yeah, the whales, I was surprised. Bryan had always explained to me how you can't convince them to come to the boat and the boat's not going to approach them, but boy, they are so proud of their babies, and they just come right up nearby you and show off the babies, and the babies are particularly curious. And well, we had a great encounter with two, I called them aunties. They were very very playful around us, and really, I don't know, it's hard to put into words. I still can't. I tried to write a blog about it and I still can't put it into words.
No, it's an incredible experience, because they take an interest in us, and they come up. Like Sonya said, you can't make a 40-ton mammal do something it doesn't want to do. It's entirely their choice to come up to the boat, to bring their babies to the boat, to stay or not stay with you, to blow air at you or whatever. And you can really feel that they're trying their best to communicate, and we may or may not be able to feel what it is they're trying to say. It's yeah. Pretty. So we can go on to the next slide. And just nothing like a good, they also have a little lice, so sometimes I think they just want you to scratch the lice a little bit. I love this photo because it really shows the mother baby is actually bigger than the boat. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that when we're in the boats and they're coming around us. So it's good to remember they're actually super large. So, and you remember back in the old days, they used to call them devilfish because they would actually ram the ships that were trying to kill them and kill their babies. But now they don't. They never ram any boats. There's no recorded incident since they first friendly encounter in the 1970s. So they're just very relaxed, and you can see like this, the mother has her baby next to the boat, getting ready to come out to the boat. Let me go to the next slide. Now, this is one of, I'm actually in this picture with my sister Molly, and this is one of the behaviors that they call spy hopping. And this whale must have followed us around for like, I don't know, 90 minutes. And she did the spy hopping thing, I don't know, 20 or 30 times. Because every time she came up and brought her head up out of the water, they're coming up to get their eye out of the water so they can look at you. We would give her a big round of applause. And she obviously thought this was great. She kept staying with us and we kept giving her a round of applause. So again, just that ability to interact. It's just like having fun. I mean, it's like, I would say we were having fun with each other. I don't know what she was thinking. Maybe she's, but it certainly felt that way, that we were having a connection and having a fun time together. And we can go on to the next slide. So we're going to leave Magdalena Bay. We're going to go back down to where I am right now, which is in Todos Santos. And we can go to the next slide. And our boutique hotel here, Los Colibris Casitas, where Sonya lived with us for right down the street from us for the last 6 weeks. And so we miss her dearly, and all the dogs and cats haven't really recovered from them leaving. They got a lot of walks and a lot of extra treats while she and her family were here. So we can go on to the next slide. And we, at Los Colibris, we were really doing social distancing when it was just really a mental health consideration as opposed to a COVID-19 consideration. All of our units are individual units with their own entrances. There's no shared hallways, there's no shared walls, there's no shared ventilation systems. And we can go on to the next slide here. And we're up, I mentioned before, we're up on a hill overlooking 70 miles of beach in the Pacific Ocean, a freshwater lagoon, and the Palm Oasis. We can keep going. And this is an idea, just like in the camps, almost all of our rooms can have either one king bed or 2 twin beds. And they all have either a balcony, a rooftop terrace, or a patio where you can really just be outside and luxuriate in the nature of Baja. And when you're here, when Sonya was here in February, you can watch the whales. And the whales have just been thrilling. They are right in this surf right outside of Los Colibris. And you can hear them doing whale tail smackdowns. You can hear them blowing. It's incredibly thrilling. So
Bryan is a bit like the town crier in October, November. She's the first one to scream that the whales are here from the hilltops and alert everybody that the humpbacks have arrived. And then, boy, when those gray whales came in, I don't know, they were right there playing in the surf, as Bryan just said. It was insane. I mean, it mandated a walk to the beach every afternoon for sunset. It was incredible.
Incredible. And it's actually really it's amazing whale watching. I mean, going in the boats in Magdalena Bay is amazing because you get so close to them and you can touch them. But really, they're really close in the surf here. Yeah. So this is our cafe, and obviously this year we're doing all our dining outside. And this is our chef, Iker Alagori, and he does amazing, super fun cooking classes and welcome dinners for our groups. And of course, there's breakfast every day. So eating is a big part of life at Los Colibris, and Sonya and her family would come over as many days as we could coax them over to have breakfast with Iker.
I'm really missing his breakfast a lot.
We go to the next slide. And we have a yoga platform on the highest point of the property. So it's pretty fun to be out there doing your yoga. And you see the whales out there. You see the osprey come by with their catch of the day. It's really great. But you don't have to do yoga. I mean, you can go up there, you can take your picnic, you can take a bottle of wine. It's just a beautiful place to really just sit out and enjoy being in nature.
Yeah.
And this is the beach, as I mentioned, 70 miles of undeveloped beach. You can just walk and walk and walk and just really enjoy it. We can go to the next one.
We had a big discussion while we were there about, because it's not a swimming beach, and about, well, it's too bad we can't just jump in the ocean right here because the undercurrents are so strong, and it really drops down, which is why those whales can also come in so close. But at the same time, it's what makes the beach so perfect and idyllic because there are no people. I mean, it was amazing to have this whale experience standing on the beach with nobody around you. I mean, maybe somebody might go jogging by randomly or a guy on his horse, but there was nobody there. So I think that makes this place all the more special.
It is. And in Baja, 5 of the world's 7 turtle species nest on our beaches. So lots of time of the year we can go out, and our turtle groups go out as the turtles come in and they dig their nests and they lay their eggs. We have turtle groups that go out and dig up the nest and relocate them so that they're protected from predators. And then you get the chance to release the baby turtles into the ocean. And this is what this is. And this is right in front of Los Colibris too. It's really, they're reptiles, but they're really cute. Super fun.
Yeah.
And this, Sonya, I'm gonna let you talk about this. This is actually your collection from your days in town in Todos Santos.
Yes, well, I think one of the things about the area and just the areas in which Bryan and Sergio have their properties and include all of these incredible activities is that they're all so different. And in Todos Santos, just less than an hour away, you're up in the mountains with the ranchero culture. An hour and a half, you're over on the Sea of Cortez. And in Todos Santos, it's just such a wonderful town, so colorful and artsy. And in fact, it doesn't feel very deserty at all because it's a big, huge oasis and there's palm trees and it's so green and all the beautiful flowers growing everywhere. And because of all the artists, I mean, Bryan, I'm sure you could give a little more background on it. We worked particularly with one woman, Donna Billick from Todos Artes, that has done all of these wonderful community installations. And I think a lot of other artists are also doing that. Everybody is just adding to the beauty of the town. And it's just wonderful to walk around. So definitely plan for time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Todos Santos is a true desert oasis. It is a watering hole in the desert. And as Sonya said, the palms are one of the reasons why it stays so beautiful. And we can go on to the next slide, I think. It's a mission town. So we have our church there, and this is our town plaza. This is actually the town protesting gold mines. So I love this slide. They're about protecting their area. I think we'll go on to the next slide. So as Sonya mentioned, it's widely known as an artist colony, and we have at least 27 art galleries in town. And the artists really are part of the real lifeblood of the town. Whenever we need to raise money for something, our artists are always donating great works of art. When at the town plaza, we made the big letters Todos Santos, and each artist took a letter and painted it in their own style. They're really just part of the backbone and create the tenor of the town. And we have other artists who are maybe it's like it's a great foodie destination. We have amazing restaurants, and so there are definitely different type of artists that come here. So it's really I go back to this one. So one of the artists that came here is a woman named Donna Billick, and she is a huge proponent of community build, of community art, and you can find her works all over California in subway stations and walls and all kinds of sort of public areas. And Sonya's son Cam took a class with her. I don't know if you want to just take a 3-day workshop with her.
He did do a 3-day mosaic workshop. It was quite something to get home. I definitely recommend if you're going to do something like it, you choose a smaller mosaic. But it was he had the idea of what he wanted to do, and watching her work with him and go from start to finish with this project was really wonderful. And I mean, when I return, I really want to incorporate something like that in my next stay, because even if it's a short visit, it feels like you're part of the community, being part of this. You're in town, you're working with the artists. It was wonderful. Cameron loved it. Got to use the saw and everything. Oh, that I just tossed in there to show you how close those gray whales were to the surf. Right there. Some even got closer than that. It was really wild.
And this is where you really see that the ranchero culture still really is the guiding culture for Todos Santos. We're all artsy fartsy and we're surfer and we're agricultural, but really the ranchero culture rules. And this is what they call a cabalgata, or parade of horsemen. And we have these on major occasions. And this one is, we have one every year for sure on the Saints' Day of the town. And this is the cowboys just riding right through the middle of town on their horses. It's an amazing amount of fun. And then when they get to the end, it's a big party and they do other trick riding and there's music and it's a wonderful celebration. And just more ideas. There's horseback riding on the beach, which is actually super fun. And then Sonya is actually a really good rider, and she would go and spend some time with Kaya and her horses and
they're beautiful horses, very beautiful. Yeah.
And of course, we are a surfing hotspot here. And one of the great things, so Alex, Sonya's husband, really worked on his skills while he was here. He really got into shape and got out there. And the great thing about Los Cerritos, which is where we do most of our surfing lessons, as you can see there in the upper right corner, it's a smooth, sandy bottom. So when you're learning and when you do fall off, you don't get drugged over the rocks or the coral or anything. So it's pretty safe. And the waves break at different levels. So I think as Alex was learning, he was saying, then you get up on essentially the foam, right in the middle. And then he was able to go further and further back as he got his skills going. And I think he was doing pretty well at the end there. I think the last day y'all went out, he was pretty pleased with himself. He'd gotten, done pretty well. So. And there's beautiful hiking. This is the cliff walk when we start from Punta Lobos, which is where the fishermen come in and hike down. We can go to the next slide. This is part of the hike. And again, when we're doing this hike, we'll often see whales. There's a sea lion colony. You can see amazing plant and bird life. We can keep going. And we end at Las Palmas, which is this spectacular beach. And this is about as busy as it ever is.
Mm-hmm.
On Easter Sunday, there may be 20 people. So it gets super crowded. But that's it. And there's beautiful bird life in Baja California Sur. I talked a little bit about it from the island, but there's over 430 species of birds in Baja California, including 6 endemic species, and lots of road runners, which I think is just the coolest thing, So they actually do, in fact, run right across the road. Keep going.
Just to get to the other side.
Get to the other side, exactly. So where are we in Baja California Sur? We are open. There's no testing required to get into the country. I think you all know you do now need testing if you're going back home. And we have people come right to Los Colibris, so right to our bodega in La Paz. So it's very similar, plenty of tests, the rapid antigen test. So there's no worries about getting your test before you go home. And we're on a stoplight system with respect to COVID. So red means no business and green is sort of the new normal. And right now that we are at yellow, which means that we're at 50% operating capacity. So we are heading down the scale, which we are very pleased about. There's the caseloads are reducing, hospitalizations are reducing, deaths are reducing. So it's looking pretty good in Baja.
Yeah, I would add that I felt safer there than I have in the past 6 weeks than I have in the past year here. So, and I live in a pretty tiny area.
So I have to say, I'm really proud of not only our town, but all the towns in Baja California Sur, La Paz, Cabo. They've all taken it very, very seriously. Our tourism board really encouraged everyone. Right last March when this was all happening, all the tourism businesses signed up for something called Punto Limpio, or Clean Point. We all did different types of other types of courses and scheduling for understanding COVID, how not to spread COVID, how to run tours safely. And I think people who come here, everyone has really remarked on essentially how free they feel, but also how they feel free because they feel safe and their protocols are being followed. And of course, everything here is really out of doors. You never need to have a meal inside a restaurant. All your dining is outside. All the activities are outside. You can essentially live your life outside. And so it's really wonderful. And of course, we have the weather where you can do that. I think we can go on. And here we are. This is some of our guide team. I will say they are a truly wonderful group of people, and I'm very proud of each and every one of them. All of them are certified wilderness first responders. They're all non graduates. They're Leave No Trace certified. They are all have some level of certification with the American Canoe Association for their kayaking skills. And most importantly, they love Baja, and they really just love sharing with people who visit their love for the natural, and they're all great naturalists and good historians, and just really sharing that knowledge with visitors. And really, I know this about each and everyone in their heart. All that they really want out of each trip is for each person to really love their experience. And that's what they're working for. They're not working for their tips, not working for that. They're really working for each person to really love Baja and have a wonderful time. And I don't know, Sonya, if you want to talk about Octavio a little bit with Cam. But
well, they are also wonderful. My son just happened to have a really special bond with our guide Octavio, or Tavi as we called him. They are, having traveled all over the place with lots of different guides for many, many years. They're right up there tops with some of the best that I've ever experienced, because exactly what Bryan was just saying, in that it's really about the guest's enjoyment, not about going down a checklist about what they're supposed to be as a guide, but they really have the freedom to move with the guests, and the autonomy to really, just do what's necessary to make the trip the best. So I think that's special.
And I think the next slide. I think now we can.
Sorry, we went over time.
No, that was great. That was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. So let me just see if we have any questions. So we have a question from Moira for you guys, and it's, do you have any naturalists, birders, botanists, etc. at your camps?
Yes, we actually are, as I just mentioned right at the end there, all of our guides are very good naturalists. We do have some specialized birders for some hardcore birders, and some of them do have their masters in botany or biology or marine biology. So we have a really good scale of talent there.
Perfect. And then in terms of your average nightly length of stay at each of the camps, how long do you typically find that people stay?
Well, we have a minimum of 2 nights at each of the camps. So I think for the island, people, when they come for their first year, they'll book 2 nights because they're not really sure. And then when they come back the next year, they book 4 or 5 because it's just, it's just really great. And then the Sierra camp, I think 2 nights or 3 is good. What do you think about that, Sonya? 2 or 3 at the Sierra camp?
I would say minimum 3 at the island, and minimum 2 at the Sierra camp, depending on your interests. Because if you really like hiking, or you really want to delve more into the ranchero culture, then 3 would be great. It's a really excellent vibe there, and it feels so good to be up in the mountains too.
Yeah, it's great.
And then we have another question. Are all meals included at all 3 locations?
It depends on how you do the trip. So at the camps, all meals from lunch on the day that you arrive through breakfast on the day that you leave are included, and daily happy hour. For Los Colibris, it just kind of depends on the trip that you book. And so when guests are staying with us in Todos Santos, we usually have at least daily breakfast, but there's so many great restaurants in Todos Santos. We really encourage people to really get out and enjoy these amazing offerings that we have in town too.
Or a cooking class with Iker, or
or mezcal tasting.
Or mezcal tasting.
And then is the season the same for the gray whales and the whale sharks? So could you see both on the same trip?
Yeah, the gray whales is the most limited. So gray whales are really only like January 25th to March 15th. It's a very set, very specific season. Whereas the whale sharks usually show up like the last week of October, más o menos, and then they're gone by April 30th.
Cool. And then in terms of bugs or insects on the beach or the mountains, do you guys get many? Should we be afraid? Should we bring some bug spray?
We have an excellent selection for all you, and but no, really on the island camp, really it's more, we have more mammal interaction there. There's actually an endemic ring-tailed cat called the Bobby Surrey. And
If you're lucky.
you'll get to see super cute. They're long tail, they look, and they have a long tail and everything. They're very mischievous and they're very sweet, and they really love to try to figure out how to get in your tent. And we have jackrabbits. In the Sierras, of course, we're in the mountains, so there are more sort of critters. But there's, Sonya, correct me if I'm wrong, there's really nothing that's dangerous. I mean, the scorpions that we have here are not lethal scorpions. And so if you get stung by one, it's like getting stung by a wasp or something. That hurts, but it's not gonna do anything to you. But yeah, I mean, it's nature, we got bugs.
Cool. And I think that's it for the questions. I think that's all we've got. But thank you, ladies. That was super helpful. I loved it. And then just to let everybody on the call know that our next Travel Tuesdays is going to be on the 23rd of March, same time, and we'll be covering Kangaroo Island in Australia. So we'll actually have Craig, who is one of our mates down in Australia on Kangaroo Island, and he will be chatting with Corinne and Doug. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. The number is 312-951-8517, or that's our email address there. And we're more than happy to help you guys plan your next vacation to wherever you're looking to go. But yeah, oh, we do have another question. It's typing. How do you get to the airport?
We have all the vehicles, we have all the permits, so we pick you up. You don't have to worry about anything. It's easy. And there's a 4-lane highway between each airport and Todos Santos, so it's super easy, super smooth.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you again, ladies. That was wonderful. Thank you to everybody who joined. I'm really happy to see you guys. Great to see some familiar faces, and we hope to see you on the next one. Have a great night, guys.
Thanks, Vanessa.
No worries. You're welcome.
Adios.
Thanks, everyone.